Okay, so this practice is going to be all about those of you that maybe have issues with too much movement or play in your sacrum and SI joints, too much laxity there. So rather than any sort of stretching or lengthening of maybe tendons or ligaments that are already loose or overstretched, we're going to work on strengthening sort of all the supporting musculature that surrounds the area. So good luck. Our supports for this practice: a strap or a belt if you have it, into a loop the size roughly of your hips or your waist. All right, so go ahead, loop that strap. And then also, if you have it, a block, a yoga block. And we'll meet on the mat seated with our feet down, knees bent, hand can rest on the shins. Inhale and begin to align your spine all the way down to the tail. Exhale, chin to sternum, draw the navel back and up. Inhale, align the spine, lift the heart. Exhale, chin to chest, navel back and up. Inhale, lift, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Uddiyana Bandha, navel pulls up. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, chin to chest. Feel a subtle broadening of the shoulders. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Rising back through center. Exhale, release the hands. Scoot your hips a little closer to those heels and ease down onto your back body. And finding ourselves into our bridge pose, begin to establish the ankles underneath the knees, hands to the hip points at the front of the pelvis, and begin to feel the way that the pelvis is rooted to the earth. Notice if you arch, emphasize the arch that's already present in the lumbar back. You can create a little space. Exhale, root the navel down, flatten the low back across the mat. Feel a broadening and a widening of the rib cage across the mat as the in-breath fills the lungs, linking pelvic tilts into our flow of breath. Hands rest on those hip points. Inhale, breathe through the deep belly, and as you breathe through the deep belly, arch that low back. Emphasize that arch very subtly. As you exhale, empty, draw the navel down. Feel how the tail tilts up. Inhale, emphasize the arch. Exhale, broaden and flatten as the tail tilts up. Inhale, breathe through the belly as you feel the arch of the lumbar spine. Exhale, navel down, tail up. Inhale. Exhale. And last one, inhale. Exhale. Inhale to neutral. Exhale, pause in this space. And what is the quality in the sacral region today? Stretch the legs long toward the front of the mat. Still using the hands on the hips to feel asymmetries within the pelvis. And find your balance, and then bring attention to the right foot. Lift the right toes up to the sky, push forward through the heel, space and spread the toes. Really spreading and opening the webbing of the foot. And once you've established this energized right leg, begin to contract the gluteal muscles of the right buttock. Use the right hand to feel the right hip lift slightly toward the ceiling. And then lift the gaze, look down toward the right big toe, past the right hip point. See yourself engaged and energized before lowering the head. Progressively releasing out, release the buttock muscles. And lastly, the right foot, wiggle the toes, any movement gently before switching sides. Lift the left toes up, space and spread, while pushing forward through the heel. Energizing the low leg, and then squeeze the gluteal muscles, engaging the left butt. Left hand feels the left hip point as it rises upward with the contraction. Gaze up, watch and see the energy you've created in the left leg line. Ease the head down. And then we progressively undo the contraction, starting with the gluteal muscles, let it go. Then moving to the left foot. Wiggle the toes as you release that tension. Interlace the hands at the back of the head as if you're taking a traditional sit-up. Weight of the head drops back into the hands, and then the vision looks down at the feet. Let your eyes see the pelvis and any imbalances as it steadies the gaze, the drishti on the toes. Exhale, lower down. Hands come alongside the body, palms down. Feet walk back toward the body, toward our bridge pose. Anchor the navel down to the spine, tail tilts up, and then root down, rise up into a bridge pose. Really allowing that pelvic tilt to stay, a scooping of the tail between the legs. Hands grasp onto the outer edges of the mat. Use the mat and this pulling apart sensation to broaden the shoulders and anchor the corners of the shoulders down to the earth. Lastly, an energy of the heels sliding back in space. Exhale, eases the spine down. Can you lower one vertebra at a time until the back of the sacrum finds the earth? And we stretch our legs back to the front of the mat. Wiggle the toes, release any tension that built up all the way to the tips of the toes. Lift the right toes to the sky, space and spread, energizing the foot while extending forward through the heel. Squeeze and contract actively the right gluteal muscles, engaging the muscles of the right buttock. Holding all that energy in the right leg line. Inhale, lift the gaze. Gaze past the right hip point toward the right big toes, seeing with your eyes. Exhale, lower. Let go of the contraction of the buttock. Lastly, let the right foot release, movement to the toes. Lift the left toes, space and spread, energizing the foot while extending through the heel. Contract actively the gluteal muscles of the left buttock. Feel how that lifts slightly toward the ceiling, the left hip point. Gaze up. Watch with your eyes past the left hip point to the toes, looking at the energy you've created. Exhale, ease the head down. Release contraction and tension in the left gluteals. Lastly, let go of the left foot, wiggling all the way to the tips of the toes. Walk the feet back toward the body. Hands grasp the outer edges of the mat. Navel down, tail up. Finding that tilt of the pelvis as we then pull the mat apart. And inhale, ease ourselves all the way up into our bridge pose. Keeping that tail tilted upward through the legs. Arms pulling the mat apart to broaden the shoulders. Heels slide back as if they could pull back toward the shoulders. A fully energized bridge pose. Releasing the spine one vertebra at a time. All the way to the back of the sacrum finds the earth. Taking our loop strap and putting that loop around the feet to the knees, just above the knees, so that we have some tension here to support us as our knees kind of sort of press into that strap. Feet down, just like our bridge, hands interlaced behind the head like a traditional sit-up. Weight of the head drops back into those hands. Watch the navel anchor to the earth. Feel a broadening of your ribs across the mat. So we're broad and wide, and then peel those shoulder blades up a little higher. Exhale, ease down. Bring the feet so the big toes touch, but the heels are an inch or two apart. From there, use the strap. Open the knees into the strap until you feel tension and sensation. And release and let go. We're just going to do this multiple times over and over. Let the knees widen outward, pressing into the support of that strap until you feel engagement in the musculature, and then let it go. And repeat again. Knees outwardly press into the strap until you feel that contraction and tension of the musculature, and then we let it go. Moving our way through 7 more. Unless you'd rather do longer, deeper holds, then maybe you only do 4 or 5. But really beginning to heat up the structures that support our pelvis and in turn support our sacral area. Completing your last and final round. Let the hands grasp onto the outer edges of the mat, widening, pulling it apart. As we roll up to our bridge pose, scoop the tail under, keep the navel anchored to the spine. Heels slide back in space. Knees widen into the strap. Release the spine one vertebra at a time until the sacrum finds the ground. Then pick the feet off the earth, squeeze the knees into the chest. Float the feet back to the earth and begin some heel lifts, rising up onto the balls of the feet and then sinking heels to the earth. Come up onto the balls of the feet, spread across the balls of the feet, dropping the heels down. Hug the knees back into the chest so that we can bring the strap up to the ankles and then lift the feet up into the sky. Push the heels upward, space and spread the toes, energizing the feet, and then feel this widening, this outward energy of the ankles into the straps. Simultaneously drop and anchor the navel into the earth and scoop the tail of the spine upward as if that tail energy could go up and extend all the way up and out through the heels. Hug the knees to the chest, release the strap, setting it aside, exchanging it for the block, putting the block on its medium setting, and then placing that block between the knees so that we can use the block as a support for the legs, the thighs, the knees to gently squeeze, hugging energy midline, squeezing it all in, and then let it go. And we're going to do this several times. Thighs hugging energy midline, squeezing onto that block until you feel that contraction, engagement, and fire, and then let it go. And then we repeat, squeeze, hugging in, before releasing and letting it go. And we'll repeat this about 7 times more, unless, as on the other side, you would like slower, longer holds. Maybe you only do 4, maybe 5. Just beginning to use this gentle, subtle pulse to bring energy and heat now to the inner leg lines, the upper inner thighs and the inner groins. Complete your final round. Squeeze. Let it go. Hands grasp the outer edges of the mat. Navel drops, tail lifts, and then we roll up into our bridge pose. This final visit here, interlacing your hands under the body if accessible, pinky edges, forearms down, knees squeeze the block, heels slide back in space. Breath fills the belly. As it reaches the heart, the sternum reaches toward the chin. Release the hands, let them grasp the mat, and then ease the spine down 1 vertebra at a time until the sacrum finds the ground, releasing the block, stretching the feet toward the front of the mat, letting the palms flip open alongside the body, coming into our Shavasana, our final relaxation pose. As you settle in on your back body, begin to release your body of any remaining tension, using each passing exhalation to dissolve, release, and empty completely. Allow the body to breathe itself and settle your awareness into your pelvis, as if the pelvis structure was a cave for you to reside in or dwell in. Begin to scan the pelvis for any nuance of sensation, becoming aware of any tingle, flutter, or pulsation. Anywhere in the blood, the nerves, the fascia, even the bones. Begin this feeling of sensation to spread all throughout the cave of your pelvic structure until you begin to feel as if your pelvis is just one giant field of radiant sensation, buzzing, vibrating, coming to life. Moving beyond the physical sensation into the quality of the energy that resides in your sacral center. That svadhisthana center, sweetness and flow. Allow yourself to remain as long as you want or need. Namaste.